Hi there, it's Alex Moros, Realtor with Keller Williams Premier Realty out of Woodbury, Minnesota, here with episode 7 of FAQ Friday. This week's topic, is how to find a good realtor. I think there are so many different options, out there to find resources, but I also think that it's something that not a lot of people really give a lot of thought to. Well, not as many people as who probably should. And I say that because if you ask around and you talk to folks who have bought or sold homes before, they're going to have one or two or even more bad stories about a realtor. In a lot of the industry and a lot of kind of what I do in trying to promote myself is to suggest that there is a different type of realtor than the ones that you hear stories about, bad stories about. I want to be one of the ones you hear good stories about. So how do you find a good realtor? One, I think that when you're online and you're looking around, that's the most exciting kind of part, and that's where a lot of people start thinking about making a purchase. And we'll talk about buy side first. And I think that's only normal. I think that's natural that you want to go online, you want to look at houses, you want to see what's out there, you want to play around with the price calculators and see what's doable, what's financially feasible. And I think that's a good place to start. I don't think you need to start by walking into a brokerage and say, hey, let me interview half a dozen realtors. But I think that as you're kind of getting your feet wet in looking at what the market has to offer you, you need to start thinking about that realtor that is going to represent you. And I've talked about representation, I've talked about bad realtors, challenging realtors, lack of communication, and those things. That's what we're trying to get away from by helping you find ways of reaching out to and connecting with a good realtor. How do you determine what is a good realtor? That's honestly up to you. It's kind of a frustrating answer, I suppose. But like with most questions in real estate, there's a lot of different answers, and it all does come down to what you're looking for to get out of the transaction, to get out of your relationship, with your realtor. And so this is just my take on what I think is important and what I try to provide, clients. So you're looking online, you click on a couple of links, on these third-party sites, and you get maybe a call, maybe a text, maybe nothing. Maybe you get 10 or 20 calls, depends on your price range and location and what realtors are looking at their notifications for who's interested in what property. You're not connecting with the listing agent, and I think I've covered that before, that's not always the best idea. But you're getting those folks who are advertising on those third-party sites, and they could be good realtors. There are plenty of really good realtors who supplement their referral business and word-of-mouth business with online advertising. It kind of depends on their business structure and what they're looking to do as a professional. But there are good realtors everywhere. So that's one way to find one. It can be a little bit overwhelming for folks. And so I think that, striking up conversation with a couple of them, maybe look at one house to start. That's what I try and do with new prospects, whether they're referrals or whether they're online generated leads. Meet at one house, take the full hour to ask them some questions and see if they're a good fit. And you may go through one or two or three realtors. You may really hit it off with the first realtor. So you could end up spending a little bit more time, but in the end it's going to be worth it, because you want to trust the person that you are hiring essentially to represent you and to negotiate on your behalf and have your best interests in mind. So you want to have a good feeling about them. Finding a realtor online, clicking on those links and interviewing a handful of people, that's one way to find a realtor. Another way to find a good realtor is through open houses. And you'll be able to tell if it's the sort of realtor that you might want to work with or not. And if you've been to any open houses, you know what I'm talking about. I try to, host my open houses a little bit, differently than a lot of folks. My goal really is to find a buyer for the seller. That's the whole purpose and the trust that they've given me to open up their house to the public is to try and sell the house. But it's a good way to at least start a conversation and set up a consultation. That's what I aim to do at an open house, because you're not going to get a full understanding of me or how I do my business just from a quick open house. And especially if it's busy, we might not even talk for a couple of minutes before you move on. So, giving your information to the realtor, it's okay if you trust that realtor isn't going to be, breathing down your neck 3 and 5 times a day, contacting you, trying to get you to buy a house. But, giving up your contact information to a realtor that you have had a little bit of conversation with, and that you want to set up at least a 20-minute consultation with to understand how they do business, how they interpret the market, the areas that they work, how busy they try to be, and anything else that's interesting to you about someone that you're going to be in a pretty intimate financial relationship with. So I think that's another way to find a realtor is at an open house. That's a good way. I think another way, and I don't see this often enough, I don't think, is put it out on social media. I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of private about their moving plans, whether they're selling or buying, but put it out on social media. Chances are you have a friend or coworker or family member who's made a move at some point and used a realtor, and either they liked him or they didn't. I think another place to look, other than Facebook and LinkedIn, is Nextdoor. If you're not a member of your neighborhood Nextdoor app, that's a really great place to find recommendations as well. And then talk to your friends and family who have moved, in real life. I mean, it's a great way to kind of get a sense and get a more personal kind of recommendation from folks is, go out for dinner and say, hey, who did you use, when you moved, what did you like, what didn't you like, and then set up, an interview. And I think that's really the key to finding a good realtor is you don't have to go with the first realtor that happens to pick up the phone or happens to call you. Sometimes they're a great realtor, sometimes they're not. And if you feel like maybe they're not the best realtor for you, use some of these other avenues to find another realtor and take the time to take that interview, because that's what's going to determine it, if they're going to be a good fit for you, but also if they're going to be able to, save you money or make you money in the long run. So, I mean, I kind of framed that mostly as helping on the buy side, but I think on the seller side, that's a great way to, those are all great ways to find, realtors as well. And, I've been found in numerous ways. That sounds a little weird, I know, but I hope that helps. So you can find a realtor in any number of places. Just be sure you interview them and you feel good about, who it is that you're going to be working with. So I hope that helps. Thanks for tuning in to FAQ Friday, episode 7. Again, I'm Alex Moros, realtor with Keller Williams Premier out of Woodbury, Minnesota. Please call, text, or email me anytime if you have any real estate needs. Thanks a lot. Oh, and share the video. Thanks.